Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Mike Marshall. I am on the product and sales team over here at Benzinga. I have a special guest with us here today, the host of the Pre-Market Prep Show.
Not the host.
I think, or the producer, I'm sorry. And also a lot of us here at Benzinga refer to Spencer here as the guy that keeps the lights on. So Spencer, if you'd like to say anything.
I keep the lights on, I take out the trash, I do the dishes, I do all those things. No, but actually, I am the producer of our morning show. It's called Pre-Market Prep. It airs every day from 8 to 9 Eastern. It's a trading show. So if you're trading, if you're managing your portfolio actively, you want a hand in tackling the markets, that's really the audience that it's for. The website is premarketprep.com. And it's basically just two traders, and we're talking about the after hours and pre-market action with an eye towards setups for that day. So, the guys who host the show, they're traders, they're trading after hours, they're trading pre-market, and they're looking at this volatility and they're using it to help them get setups for the open and for the rest of the trading day. So, premarketprep.com is the name of the show. It's again 8 to 9 Eastern. We usually have around anywhere from 1 to 3 guests per day, just talking trading and talking, we have a live chat there as well. You can ask us questions, we'll answer them for you on the air. And the show does air again on premarketprep.com and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Benzinga TV. So that's pretty much what I do.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think one thing that you understated there is this live chat. I mean, there are active traders in here that are talking about trade ideas, that are talking about what's going on in the market.
Sure.
And one exciting thing that you guys do that you're not really giving yourself credit for is you guys break the news on the show sometimes. There's breaking news.
Yeah. There will be, times where we get, we'll see an analyst note, for example, Gordon Johnson, just to throw a name out there. He's probably the best solar industry analyst on the street. We'll see him come out with a note. We'll get him on the show that morning and have him, give us some commentary and we can move stocks. It's happened before. So we have the Benzinga Pro where I'm glued to that during the show because, Dennis and Joel, the host, they're talking and they're looking at their charts, but I'm glued to the Pro during the show. So as the news is coming in, that's what we're talking about. So at this time of year, pretty much mostly earnings. So by the time the show starts at 8, we've got a lot of earnings to discuss. Earnings are breaking as we're on the show, so it's a really good way to sort of get a handle on the news as it's happening in the pre-market.
Excellent. Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah.
I dropped that link into the chat here for you guys. So yeah, if you can't catch it live each morning, they do record it, and you guys can catch it after that.
Yep.
So a lot of great trade ideas come from that show. So what you guys are seeing now on your screen is the Benzinga Pro dashboard. Just going to show you guys a couple quick things. I'm going to turn off this ticker at the bottom just so it doesn't get distracting. And what you guys are seeing is kind of the different features here of the platform. So you guys can select any of those if you would like. What we're going to be mainly focusing on today is talking about options on Benzinga Pro. How to utilize them for your strategy. So we'll be kind of staying right here in the news feed. We might do a little bit of the details though. So
we're talking about options as in option contracts, not options like within Benzinga Pro.
Correct, okay. Correct. And so, if you wouldn't mind, Spencer, will you just give us a high-level overview of puts and calls and kind of what an option trade is?
Sure. So, I don't know how familiar our attendees are with options. Pretty much they're just an additional way to trade. So if you're bullish a stock, you can use options. If you're bearish stock, you can use options. They're a really good way to hedge another position or to put a position on without risking a ton of capital. So there's two kinds of options. There's calls and there's puts. You can either buy or sell a call or a put. So there's sort of 4 different opportunities there around options. Call buyers are bullish, call sellers are bearish, put buyers are bearish, and put sellers are bullish. I think I got that right. It's a little confusing, the calls and the puts. and the buying and the selling. But that's pretty much how it's broken out. It's pretty much just a way to get exposure without risking a ton of capital.
Awesome, excellent. And then you said a little bit about hedging. I guess where would you see some hedging as far as like if you were a trader and you were kind of monitoring, who would be doing the hedging bets, do you think?
Right. So it's obviously impossible to tell from a headline on Benzinga Pro or anywhere, why someone is putting, an options trade on. But you could definitely see a hedge, heading into an earnings report. This time of year, there's lots of companies that are reporting. So you might see maybe you might see a big options trade at 3:30 or 3 o'clock the day that stock is due to report. That could be a sign. If you see a lot of activity around that time, it could be a sign that people are trying to put a hedge on ahead of the report that's about to break after the bell.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And so a few different ways that you can look at option trades here on the platform. One is just a keyword search, by the word option. And I also do want to remind you guys too, if you do have any questions about option trades or about the Benzinga Pro platform, to feel free to drop them into the chat. We will be sure to get to them throughout the webinar. So a few different ways. You could just do a keyword search right here, or you could come over here to the word filters and select the category option. There's also, you notice which source it's coming through here on the right-hand side, whether it's the BZ Signals or the BZ Wire. And the difference between a BZ Signal option and a Benzinga Wire option would be the BZ Signal is going to be an automated technology that we created. And that pretty much is reading the tape at the exchange. So these trades did happen, and it was an automated trigger to deliver it in this format. So you'll see that from the signal, and then the wire would actually be an option alert that our news desk team felt like it was important enough to actually type out that headline to make sure that you guys were able to see that. So we wanted to draw a little more attention to it.
If I could add to that real
Absolutely.
quick. So the signals, any options alert that is signals like Mike said, that's automated. I want to just make clear that headline or that activity might not have just happened. That signal was triggered by some sort of buying or selling. So it could have been just the aggregate. What we're doing is we're measuring the open interest and we're measuring the activity, the buying and the selling. And one trade could have triggered our signal, and that headline then represents the total activity for that option for the day, pretty much. So the BZ Wire is that's a trade that just happened. The BZ Signals, that might not just have happened, but that's our way of saying, hey, there's a lot of activity today on the option side of this stock.
Excellent. And so I guess reading one of these, could you just take us through how to read this information right here?
Sure. So stock, obviously, AMC, I believe they just reported earnings. I want to say this week, but it could be wrong. So these are August. Well, there we go. Okay. So these are August 18th contracts. So these are due to expire. Option contracts expire the third Friday of the month. So these will expire August 18th. So these are puts, right? So normally you see put, you think bearish. Someone's buying a put, they're bearish. If they're selling a put, they're bullish, and we'll get to what this means. So they're buying puts above the ask, and if you know your spreads, your bid and your ask, so they're buying puts above the ask in this situation, which means that they are bullish on this side. I think I got that right. It's a little bit tricky, but yeah. So if I can just bring your attention actually to the far end of the headline, the $15.1 reference number right there. So that number is essentially what is being put out there right now. So $15.10 is sort of that number represents this specific activity. Now, if I could bring your attention back over to the, right before it says OI. Let's just go back in order. I'm jumping around now. So we have our ask, $3,300, $3,300. That is the point, and Mike, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So, apologize for jumping around on you there. So what I'm seeing here is this person is buying the option contracts that expire August 18th.
Yeah.
He's getting them for $15. He's betting here that the stock price August 18th is going to be $15.
Right. Sorry, I was totally confused myself there. All right. So $15. So that's what I want to bring your attention to, because that's what he's betting the stock needs to be
on August 18th.
Right. So now if I want to, so keep on going, $15 above the ask. So I mentioned, and that's why I brought up the reference number at the end, at the very end of the headline, because that 15.1 at the far right there, and that $15 towards the beginning, those are really important numbers. So we're seeing that the stock's at 15.1 right now, $15.10. This person is betting the stock needs to be below $15 in order for him to win this trade. So if we're looking, keep on going, $15 puts above the ask, 3,300 at 95 cents versus 1551 OI. That OI is open interest. So that 1551 essentially represents the total activity in the history of this option, right? And this person here has bought 3,300 contracts at 95 cents. So essentially what we're saying here is this person has bought twice the amount of all the activity in this contract, in the history of this contract right now. It's essentially what, so this is a very, very big bet.
Absolutely. And so how I look at it is whenever you see the current bet or option trade that is at least, twice or 3 or 4 times what the open interest is, usually to me that is pretty unusual. And I look at that as an unusual one. Let's see if we can go down here and kind of see another one that is pretty heavily outweighed.
Well, actually, I want to do a BZ Wire one for a minute. So let's go down here to WTW. So this is Weight Watchers right here.
Yep. So
here's the Weight Watchers, and again, this is a BZ Wire alert. So this is one that our news desk analysts saw. They're in chat rooms. They're watching the tape. They're watching their charts. And this is one that they saw and thought it was notable enough that they should take the time out and type out a headline themselves. So let's look at Weight Watchers. These are Friday 31. A 31 put sweep, and I want to get to that word sweep there in a second, at the bid. So what that means is these options are going to expire on Friday, $31 put sweep. So again, you see puts, if you're buying puts, you're bullish. If you're selling puts, you're bearish. The stock rate would need to get to $31. And we know by skipping ahead to the very end of our headline that we're at 33.08 right now. That puts sweep. Okay, that's a notable word right there. When we are buying or when we're looking at options activity, a lot of people are only seeing options trades made on a certain exchange. That word sweep means that this person, whoever is making this trade right now, just went and swept through the book on 4 different, in this case it's 4 because that's the number here, 4 different exchanges and or routers. So we're not talking about any one exchange, the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. We're talking about this person swept through the order book on 4 different, literally 4 different locations, 4 different exchanges or routers. So they're making this trade sort of across the market. Again, at the bid, 559 at $1.20 versus 163 open interest. Again, that open interest represents our total activity in the history of this option, and we know that this person is making a big bet based on the fact that they bought 559 contracts at $1.20 each.
Absolutely. And so we did pull up the earnings over here. We do see that in our Benzinga Pro, we got 3 market days from now. They're going to be announcing earnings. So We can kind of pull up our calendars right here, and we can kind of see what exactly has been going on with AMC, see what we could jump over to analyst ratings as well, and kind of see what type of coverage they currently have, and what the analysts are saying about them. So would you take any of this into effect if you were someone that was long AMC?
For sure. So actually back up to their earnings calendar. So I want to point that out. So if I were to make an options trade, the first thing I'm looking at with regards to AMC here is their recent earnings history. So I would actually scroll over there to the right, using the scroll bar at the bottom. And I'm just looking real simply, how much green is there and how much red, right? So AMC, we can see it's pretty mixed, right? So I'm not getting a clear indicator. This isn't like NVIDIA, who beats the estimates every single time, where we're looking at EPS, we're looking at revenue, and how does the number compare to the estimate? And with AMC, it looks like it's pretty mixed. That does not make me confident one way or the other. So I may, again, then move on to a different source of information. Let's go to the analyst ratings then. These are sell-side and buy-side analysts that are given their professional ratings that based on research that they sell. So people are selling these notes, these research notes to clients. We're getting that information, through our sources, and we're publishing that here. And we're telling you whether, for example, Goldman Sachs or Credit Suisse or Barclays has a buy, sell, or hold rating on this stock. So again, looking at AMC, it looks like, if we can scroll to the right, Mike, a little bit, it looks like there was a lot of buy and outperform ratings a little while ago, but I'm seeing a lot of downgrades really since the middle or end of last year. That does not make me feel good, but I want to note, if you are a contrarian investor, that could be maybe something to consider. Something that I hear all the time from our traders on the show is trade with the trend, but be a contrarian investor. So if I'm trading AMC right now, I may be thinking, okay, we're really feeling negative here about this stock. But if I'm a longer-term investor, and I personally myself am a contrarian investor, so that to me right there isn't necessarily a bad thing that I'm seeing a ton of downgrades and a ton of red on my screen if you're a contrarian investor. But I do advise, based on the traders that I interact with every day, trade with the trend, and then be a contrarian investor.
Excellent. So had a question come in here about how I got to this screen. What I did here was I clicked on the ticker symbol right here, AMC, which then brought me over to the details page. Because AMC does have earnings coming up, we have this window right here that will jump us over to the earnings page. So I just clicked that as well, and now I'm on the earnings page. I just closed my details page because I knew that was an easy way of getting there. And now I have a split screen, and if I wanted to see a little more information, I can smoothly try and grab it right in between and move it over.
There we go.
Yep. And so, yeah, appreciate the questions. Make sure to keep them coming in if you guys do have them.
Actually, if I can address that question.
Really appreciate it, Bob.
Yeah, if I can answer that question, Bob, yes. Really, the answer to that question.
Will you read the question?
Yeah, I'll read it. The answer, the question is, could the AMC put buyers simply be rolling weekly options, so just extending a current position? Yeah, yes, that is obviously a possibility. I have always read and learned that it's really hard, really difficult to tell exactly what someone's trying to do based on a single options headline. And the traders that I speak with, again, I speak with these guys every day, would pretty much say the same thing, that you can infer certain things, but it's really hard to know for sure. But yes, it's great that you pointed that out. This person on the headline that we read could very well just be rolling their position over.
Excellent. Spence, is there anything else that you want to talk about as far as options? I think we kind of ran through it. I know it was pretty quick, but you know, the feedback that we get is not to spend too much time. So
I would just say, if you look at on the screen right now, the second headline is Benzinga Options Alert Recap. So basically what we're doing here is we're taking all the most notable options alerts on a given day, and these are not BZ signals. These are headlines that our news desk analysts have typed out, and these are basically all the options alerts in a given day. We're putting them in this format, so you don't, if you feel like you missed some, don't worry, they'll be recapped every day. At the end of the day, it's sort of our unusual options alert that goes out usually around now, or maybe you can see it went out at 4:19, and then that ticker there on the left, and that ticker left of the headline, you can see all the tickers mentioned in that article or in that post. So you can really get a. You don't even have to click on it if you don't want to. You can just see, was my stock mentioned in any notable options headlines today? Well, let me just mouse over that part of our screen, and I can see. I don't see my stock. All right, moving on.
Yep, and then also you could single click it to drop down that story, or you could double click it to pull it out into a new window. Also some sharing features over here if you guys would like to.
Yep, tweet or email, you know, this headline to someone. And I do want to note that the options alert recap is available on benzinga.com. So that's, and again, that's once per day. So if you're someone that you know, wants or needs, you know, the real time action, Benzinga Pro is going to be the spot for you. But this will provide, you know, another way to view that information after the fact.
Excellent. And then we got one more question coming in, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that for me there, Spence. Yeah, just so you guys know, we'd love to hear some feedback and topics going forward. So I'm just going to drop them into the chat, drop my email into the chat. So feel free to email me, guys, if you guys have any questions, or if you guys would like a one-on-one walkthrough of the platform to go over any of the other features. Spencer, did we get caught up with all the questions?
Well, there is one now from actually one of the listeners of the morning show. Any idea how implied volatility, I guess that word is impacted? I'm not quite sure with the typo there, by large option sweeps. That's a really good question. Short answer, I don't know, but I want to get back to you about that because I myself am not quite sure. But that's a really good question. How is implied volatility impacted by large sweeps?
Excellent. So, Bob, Spencer will take note of that question, and
I'll tell you what, Bob. We'll address it tomorrow on the morning show.
Exactly. So you're going to have to get there, hop into the morning show so you can listen live. Guys, really appreciate everyone joining us. We're going to be doing these things once a week on Thursday. Brent, the head of our news desk, will be joining us again next week. He was really tied up with earnings season. But Spencer, can't thank you enough.
Sure.
Thanks for coming on and, you know, educating our listeners here and, you know, really helping me out.
Yeah, not a problem, Mike.
You know, until next time, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But from Detroit, we are signing off.